When nature creates its own works of art, they can be serene, or they can be terrifying. But in January of 1998, what nature created in the state of Maine was both mesmerizingly beautiful and terrifyingly destructive. Imagine waking up one morning to find that the world you know is gone. Every tree branch, every power line, every rooftop, all of it encased in a flawless armor of crystal. When the sun's rays hit the ice, the landscape glittered as if covered by 1,000,000,000 diamonds. It was, in a word, magical. But hidden within this magical beauty was a silent killer. This was no ordinary snow. This was freezing rain, accumulating inch by inch, its weight steadily increasing. And soon, this world of glass would become a prison of ice. This was the beginning of the Great Ice Storm, an event that would go down in history as Maine's worst natural disaster. The storm that wasn't meant to be meteorologists knew a storm was coming, but no one could have predicted its ferocity. In early January, an unusual weather pattern formed. Warm, moist air from the south collided with a massive block of Arctic air from the north, causing rain. But on the ground, the temperature was well below freezing. As a result, every single raindrop froze instantly on contact with any surface. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The rain showed no signs of stopping. A continuous light drizzle kept falling, adding layer after layer of ice to everything it touched. At first, it was just an annoyance. The roads were slick, making travel difficult. But then came the first ominous sounds. First it was the small twigs, then the larger limbs. Unable to bear the weight of the ice any longer, century-old trees began to scream. The silence of the night was shattered by the sharp crack of snapping branches, a sound like rifle shots. A war had begun in the forests, where the invisible enemy was the weight of the ice. The great pine forests of Maine, a core part of the state's identity, were slowly being torn apart. The collapse of civilization. The trees were the first victims, but the real danger lay elsewhere. Maine's power grid relied on thousands of miles of utility poles and wires that stretched through these vast forests. As the weight of the ice grew, the power lines began to sag dangerously. Then the inevitable happened. First one, then 10, then hundreds of utility poles began to snap under the immense load. Transformers exploded with a deafening roar, casting flashes of blue light against the night sky. But the most terrifying sight was the collapse of the massive transmission towers. These steel giants, hundreds of feet tall and the backbone of the state's power supply, buckled and twisted like paper. A moment of silence. Within hours, more than half of Maine's population was without power. One by one, the lights of the towns went out. Over 600,000 people were plunged into darkness and cold. They had no heat, no way to cook, and for many, no way to communicate with the outside world. The towns were frozen in silence. No cars on the road, no lights in the shops, no noise from the factories. A strange, eerie stillness fell over the world of ice. It was as if time itself had stopped. In 1998, on the cusp of the 21st century, Maine had been thrown back in time by 100 years.